I don't have many left to me, but what I have, I'm gonna give you all to you guys. I don't have many left. So my next couple of fights, I'm on my way out. So I don't want no easy fights. I want the hard fights. I told Eddie the other day, if he can get me the Browns bomber, I'll be happy. You know, I want to fight everybody in my era. Win or lose, I just want to fight.
Ooh, what's good, family? Shout out to my doggy Anthony for coming through and boosting up your man the YB coin 100%. So, also, we must salute my doggy Chisora for coming through and boosting up your man the YB coin. Yeah, we must pray for Chisora now. Oh, Derek Chisora. That's what we must do. But anyway, as you saw at the start of the video, and as you saw by the title, it must be said, whilst we salute War Chisora for coming through and most boostfully boosting your man the YB coin, it has to be said, let's not tweak out on this one. Yeah? There's certain trees you want to bark at, and there's certain trees you don't want to bark at. I'm all for celebrating. I'm all for getting a little tutu gassed. Yeah, I'm all for getting a little bit tutu drink on. Yeah, listen, we can all go to the club and get your tutu drink on and whatever else you want to do. But let me tell you what Chisora don't want to do right now. Yeah, he don't want to do anything to do with Deontay Wilder. And you might know me, I've been critical of Wilder at times, but listen, as critical as I may be, and to be honest with you, there may have even been a time, I think I've even said it, yeah, you might know I must repent right now, I'm repenting. I'm sure there's been a time I've told you in the past that Chisora would work Wilder. He ain't do nothing. Yeah, he just ain't. Chisora ain't gonna do nothing. Not this, least of all this Chisora, 38-year-old Chisora. Maybe there was a time 10 years ago he could have done something. Not now though. I don't know what Chisora's on. Well, we kind of know what Chisora's on. I've got another video coming soon. Chisora hinted that, you know, I need more money from Eddie Hearn. So what he's angling at, obviously he wants the big money fights, but Chisora's been begging for more money since time began. So that's not new, yeah? That said, we all want, who don't want more money? But there's good money and there's bad money. And the implication that Chisora thinks there's something sweet or something plentiful about Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, is all wrong. YB, you're a flip-flopper. I don't care what you want to call it. Yeah? There's nothing about Deontay Wilder that makes sense from Chisora's point of view. What's Chisora going to do with Wilder in there? What's he going to do? Realistically, what is he going to do? We just saw him in there with Pulev. Great win. A 41-year-old Pulev. 50-50 Pulev. Gassed for half of the fight against Pulev. Pulev was slow, no jab. Deontay Wilder, his jab is a great liner upper, and his right hand, Tyson Fury, the most slick of all the boxers at the moment. The quickest and the most slick. We just saw how slow Dillian Whyte looked against Fury, yeah? And even the most slick Tyson Fury got clattered by Wilder a few times. What's Chisora going to do? Chisora, he has good head movement against Pulev. Wilder, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. And the thing about Wilder is he plays for keeps as well. He ain't... Tonight, Pulev, I didn't see Pulev really throw any shots that were for keeps. They were all pity. From what, obviously, I couldn't take them. But, as far as what we see in boxing, it was relatively pity. Yeah, when you think about the massive shot Tyson Fury caught Dillian Whyte with, when you think about the big shots Wilder's caught people with before, Pulev didn't have none of that. And Chisora had all, he was really having all he could handle. There was a few times Chisora was more or less a victim on the ropes, just hoping that Pulev had nothing left. And as it happened, at 41-year-old, Pulev didn't have nothing left, which worked well for Chisora. That's not a strategy though you want to impose or you want to extrapolate onto Wilder. Wait a minute, I just went life and death with an old, slow, no strategy having ass Pulev. I'm going to leverage that into doing something with Wilder. I'm telling you now, I don't know what David Haye was smoking. I think David Haye must have some sort of BDSM thing about him. Some sadomasochistic qualities. Oh yeah, I'd love to see that fight. What the? Of all the fights you might love to see, I wouldn't even argue if someone told me they'd love to see Dillian Whyte versus Chisora. Yeah? Really, I think, at this point, I think Chisora should take this W and leave the game. Yeah? Leave on top. What's the point? I guess he wants more money, but I'm sure Chisora's, well, I like to think, maybe it's not. Obviously, if Chisora's broke, then he must fight. Unfortunately, but if Chisora's got, he owns a farm and he's got assets and infrastructure apparently, so I don't know why he's desperate to carry on going for, especially based on that performance. Don't forget, people, we can all celebrate the win, yeah, but go back and watch. I want you to watch, Chisora's body language from the second round. In the corner, maybe even the first round. From the first round, Don Charles was telling Chisora, how are you feeling? And Chisora was like, looking proper gassed from early in the fight. And he was gassed against a man in Pulev who weren't doing much. This wasn't like Pulev was really banging back, was it? Chisora really was doing all the work. As in landing most of the heavy shots. And Pulev weren't fighting back. Which is bad, because if you're knackered and you're against a man who ain't fighting back, whatever you say about Wilder, he fight back. And he quick, relatively. Yeah? Chisora tonight made Pulev look quick, didn't he, really? And Pulev was slow. Yeah? Listen, man. I'm all for rock'em sock'em. You might know I love a good fight, but I like a good fight. I like people to get stuck in, yeah, when it's relative. I'm never someone who wants to see carnage. I'm never someone who wants to put the stupid matchups together. In fact, that's been part of my problem with the game. Too often these days, we get Canelo versus Plant, or Canelo versus Billy Joe, which are the shutouts, and we don't get the Canelo versus Bivol kind of fights. Do you understand? That's part of the beef at the moment I've got with boxing. They all seem to be mismatches, and then the real fights, Spence versus Crawford, don't no one know about that, yeah? The real fights, Devin Haney versus Tank, don't no one know about that. But we all know about Tank versus some bum, Romero. Do you know what I'm saying? My beef at the moment with boxing is we ain't getting the healthy fights. And Chisora versus Wilder is another unhealthy fight we don't need to see. Yeah? Deontay Wilder versus Dubois, I need to see that. Deontay Wilder versus Joyce, I need to see that. Yeah, Deontay Wilder versus AJ potentially, I need to see that. Deontay Wilder versus Usyk, I need to see that. Chisora ain't in that list of need to see. Based on that. Now, if Chisora had gone in there, full tank of cardio, feeling great, looking great, really working tonight, what you notice is that most of Chisora's work here for the last 2/3 of the fight was just desperation work. He wasn't working because he was in control. He was working because it was absolutely vital, i.e. he was pinned on the ropes and had to desperately battle off of them. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, okay, Chisora's in control here and he's working to the body, he's stepping off, he's working, you know what I mean? It wasn't like that, was it? It was on the ropes, knackered, big, huge winging shots, and then, yeah, that's a no-no against Wilder, man. Chisora's style against Wilder is a no-no. Now, you could say, well, YB, what happens when Chisora gets in Wilder's grill? Listen, people. Yeah? Chisora was in Pulev's grill all night and couldn't even rock him. Do you understand? Yeah? Like I said, if Chisora was in there tonight, rocking Pulev for fun, dropping him for fun, and then stopped him, you can extrapolate that. You know what? He had Pulev's number. But if you can't rock Pulev, if you can't properly... I'm going to be real with you. For most of the fight, really, Pulev was the aggressor in that sense, wasn't he? He was the one. I didn't see Pulev spend any time on the ropes. Chisora was the one backed up to the ropes, kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, Chisora definitely won this fight. If Chisora hadn't have won this fight, it'd have been a robbery. But I'm saying, the body language, at the end of the fight, even though Chisora won based on punches, the body language winner throughout the fight was Pulev. Pulev never looked really stressed. He was always in control. Now, like I told you earlier, Chisora lost the fight tonight. Sorry, Pulev lost the fight tonight. Chisora, in my opinion, didn't really win it. When a man wins a fight, he's in control kind of thing. Chisora was never really in control of this fight, ever. From round 1 to round 12, he was always just desperately clinging on. It just so happened that Pulev just wasn't doing nothing. He just wasn't. He was nowhere near active enough and nowhere near accurate enough, which is a credit to Chisora, but still. The things Chisora were doing it was almost reactionary. Okay, I'm on the ropes. I must desperately throw heavy shots off it. Okay, I'm under attack. I must slip and slide. There was very few points throughout the fight where you saw Chisora actively working. You know what I'm saying? And there's no way you can extrapolate what we saw tonight into anything to do with Wilder. I don't know what. And Chisora himself, as I've mentioned, his own body language was screaming that. And I've told you in my other video earlier, Chisora needs to go home and watch the live replay and see how he actually felt at the time. Chisora was digging into the well from the first 4 rounds. It's great to dig into the well, but I've been saying that's really been my main critique of Chisora for a long time now. Digging into the well, that isn't your strategy. You shouldn't go into a fight and say, yeah, I'm just going to dig in. That's what Chisora's been doing for the last few fights here. All we see Chisora do is dig in. Isn't it? I'm going to dig really deep. Digging really deep is something you rely on. You don't go, that's not a go-to, is it? Oh, you know what? I think part of the reason, as I've said before, is that I just don't think Chisora trains properly in the right way. Because you shouldn't need to be going to the well after round 3 every fight. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe it's me, but I've never seen, in the history of boxing, I've never seen someone who has to go to the well after every 2-3 rounds of a fight. Just finds himself having to dig deep and just, you know what I mean? I haven't seen that one before. And, like I say, man, every way you want to look at this, Chisora, way too gassed off this win. Way too delusional, way too money hungry. We all like money, Chisora, yeah, but think about, for me, this is seriously one of them fights. Chisora versus Wilder is one of them fights where I'd say it's dangerous for someone. It really is dangerous, man. We saw how dangerous it was. I think it's even dangerous for Dillian Whyte. I think Wilder versus Dillian Whyte is dangerous for him. I just do. I'd rather see that though. If any, Chisora's just a no for me. I'd rather see Dillian Whyte versus Wilder. That's a closer fight, but even that is dangerous in my book. I wouldn't even put Dillian Whyte in that category. For me, it's Wilder, Joyce, Dubois, maybe AJ, Usyk, or sorry, the winner. Yeah, Wilder is in a group for me at the moment, in a competitive fight group with Joyce, Dubois, and the winner of AJ and Usyk. That's where I see that guy at the moment. Chisora is in the level below that with Dillian Whyte. Even I put Parker in there as well. Dillian Whyte, Parker, Chisora, they're all in that kind of level, aren't they? Because whatever you say about Parker didn't do nothing with Chisora, did he really? And what's that fight? Chisora was gassed from the 2nd, 3rd round, and Parker, what did he do? And look at Chisora's face. Chisora's face was just fine. And that is something I do have to say just quickly. Chisora did have super duper defense tonight, but it was good defense against someone who was slow as whatever you want to call it. But yeah, man, I'm super happy for Chisora. Yeah, we must salute him for boosting your man the YB coin. But he needs to be realistic. And I've said in my other video, it will be a travesty if if Eddie Hearn tries to do something with that. Yeah? Eddie, listen carefully, I don't want to hear nothing. But Eddie even said, oh yeah, it's time to make a big fight. No. It's time for you to step in now, Eddie, and say, listen, Chisora, I love you. I'm not putting on... That's the thing I don't get. Why can't... Yeah, Chisora may want to fight, but why can't these promoters step up and do him a favour? Chisora, I love you. But no, it's time for you to go. If you want to go and get sanctioned in Macau, so be it, but you won't be fighting on any more of my shows for your sake. I've made Eddie Hearn enough money. He don't need a mil or two or 500 grand on a Chisora show. Yeah? What's the greed for? Don't be greedy and be healthy for the sport. It's 38-year-old. Listen, if Chisora here was 32 and you want to throw him in there for one of them ones, so be it. But 38, based on that performance, I don't want to hear nothing about Wilder. At the very most, and even then, my advice would still be retire. Dillian White is the absolute top of anything to do with Chisora. I don't want to hear about Joyce. I don't want to hear about Dubois. I don't want to hear about Wilder. I don't want to hear about Fury. And that's pretty much, anyone else, apart from that top tier. For me, the Chisora versus AJ fight is closer. Because at least in that fight, you can say, well, I'm going to go. We know AJ don't like the overhand right. Go in there, hit him with a big overhand right, and you never know. But that's not what I see for Wilder. Wilder knows how to tuck up, really. And he's a lot quicker. So, let's see how it plays out anyway, man. I'm hoping that he was just a bit gassed. And again, you know what these fighters are like today? Yeah, you're right, they're gassed, but they're just way too gassed. Yeah? They're not gassed relative to what they're actually doing. Anyway, let's see how it plays out.